The 10th of July, 1940. The skies over southern England rumble with war. The German Luftwaffe unleashes wave after wave of bombers and fighters in what becomes the Battle of Britain. Airfields burn, ports are shattered, and cities like London, Birmingham, and Coventry brace under relentless attacks. Operations Airlöwe, or Sea Lion, Nazi Germany's code name for the planned invasion of the United Kingdom, hangs over the Channel. It depends on crushing the Royal Air Force, the RAF, and is conceived 9 months after the war begins, but it is never put into action. Yet, the RAF refuses to yield. Day after day, Spitfire and Hurricane fighter aircraft rise into the skies, battling overwhelming odds. By October, Hitler's dream of invasion falters. Britain still stands, defiant, bloodied, and determined. Churchill's words, "We shall never surrender," echo across the nation. But not everyone in Britain shares this resolve. While most Britons rally behind Churchill's call to never surrender, there are those who look to Hitler with admiration and openly sympathize with the Nazi regime. One of the most fanatical followers of Hitler is the British aristocrat and socialite, Unity Mitford. Unity Valkyrie Mitford, the fifth of 7 children in an aristocratic English family, was born on the 8th of August, 1914 in London. The Mitfords were a prominent family with deep-rooted connections in British society, tracing their lineage back to the Norman conquest. Unity herself was a first cousin once removed of Clementine Churchill, the wife of Winston Churchill. By a strange twist of fate, Unity was conceived during her parents' trip to Canada in a small town called Swastika in Ontario, a name that would later mirror her disturbing obsession with fascism and Adolf Hitler. Growing up, Unity struggled to find a place among her siblings. Her sisters were often described as more intelligent, beautiful, or accomplished, and Unity, feeling overshadowed, gravitated toward anything that would set her apart. It has been suggested that her embrace of Nazism was, at least in part, an act of rebellion and self-assertion. Sharing a room with her younger sister, Jessica, who became a committed communist, the girls famously drew a chalk line to divide their space. Jessica's side displayed portraits of Lenin and communist symbols, while Unity's was covered in swastikas and images of Hitler. At first, this political divide may have seemed like a provocative game between sisters, but for Unity, it soon became deadly serious. In 1932, Unity was presented as a debutante and formally entered high society. That same year, her sister Diana left her husband to begin a relationship with Oswald Mosley, the leader of the newly formed British Union of Fascists. Their father reacted with outrage, forbidding any contact with Mosley or Diana. Unity ignored his orders and met Mosley at one of Diana's parties, where she was promised a badge for the fascist party. She soon became a highly visible member of Mosley's movement, wearing a black shirt uniform and attending communist rallies to heckle speakers while performing fascist salutes. Her behavior, though enthusiastic, was considered by some in the movement to be more theatrical than helpful. On the 30th of January 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. The same year, Unity and her sister Diana traveled to Germany as part of a British Union of Fascists delegation attending the Nuremberg Rally. It was here that Unity saw Hitler for the first time, later recalling, "The first time I saw him, I knew there was no one I would rather meet." The rally had a profound impact on her. What had begun as admiration quickly deepened into worship, and from that moment on, she became obsessed with the idea of being close to Hitler. In the summer of 1934, Unity Mitford returned to Germany and enrolled in a language school in Munich, conveniently located near the Nazi Party headquarters. Her true motivation, however, was not academic. Determined to meet Hitler, she began regularly visiting the Osteria Bavaria, one of his favorite restaurants. Day after day, she sat at the same table, patiently hoping to catch his attention. For 10 months, she maintained this routine, effectively stalking him. Eventually, her persistence paid off. One afternoon, Hitler invited her to join him. They talked for over half an hour, with the Führer even picking up the bill. Unity later wrote to her father, calling it the most wonderful and beautiful day of my life. She declared, "I'd suppose I am the luckiest girl in the world. For me, he's the greatest man of all time." In her diary, she later described Hitler as very sweet and gay, and consistently referred to him as the Führer. In total, her journals document 139 meetings with him. Their unusual connection deepened quickly. Hitler was reportedly fascinated by Unity's middle name, Valkyrie, and impressed by her aristocratic heritage. Her grandfather had been a friend of Richard Wagner, Hitler's musical idol, and had written introductions to 2 works of Houston Stewart Chamberlain, a racist author that Hitler greatly admired. Superstitious by nature, Hitler believed Unity had been sent to him by destiny. He began inviting her to party rallies and official functions, describing her as a perfect specimen of Aryan womanhood. However, not everyone in Hitler's circle welcomed Unity. Eva Braun, Hitler's longtime mistress, grew increasingly jealous. In her diary, Braun wrote with clear resentment, "She is known as the Valkyrie and looks the part, including her legs. I, the mistress of the greatest man in Germany and the whole world, I sit here waiting while the sun mocks me through the window panes." At one point, Braun even reported Unity to the SS, claiming she had a hysterical passion for Hitler. Unity soon became close with Julius Streicher, the notorious publisher of the anti-Semitic newspaper Der Stürmer. During a Hitler Youth gathering on Hesselberg Hill in Bavaria, she gave a violently anti-Semitic speech and later sent an open letter to Der Stürmer, writing, "The English have no notion of the Jewish danger. Our worst Jews work only behind the scenes. We think with joy of the day when we will be able to say, 'England for the English.' Out with the Jews. Heil Hitler. P.S. Please publish my name in full. I want everyone to know I am a Jew hater." The letter sparked public outrage in Britain. Nevertheless, Hitler rewarded Unity with a golden swastika badge engraved with her name, a private box at the 1936 Berlin Olympics, and a ceremonial ride in a party Mercedes at the Bayreuth Festival in German Bavaria. By 1936, Unity Mitford was a well-known figure in Hitler's inner circle. She continued to attend rallies and official events, often appearing at his side. That same year, a British intelligence report described her as more Nazi than the Nazis. It also noted that she gave the Hitler salute to the British Consul General in Munich. Alarmed by her behavior, the diplomat immediately requested that her passport be confiscated. In 1938, Unity appeared alongside Hitler on the balcony in Vienna during the announcement of the Anschluss, the annexation of Austria into Nazi Germany. Later that year, she was arrested in Prague for distributing Nazi propaganda. Hitler offered her a choice of 4 apartments in Munich, and she is reported to have visited one of them to discuss her decoration and design plans, while the soon-to-be dispossessed residents, a Jewish couple, sat in the kitchen crying. She spent her summers at the Berghof, Hitler's mountain residence in the Bavarian Alps. There, she continued urging him to pursue peace with Britain. According to Albert Speer, Hitler's future Minister of Armaments and War Production, and one of his closest advisors, politics was generally not discussed at Hitler's social gatherings, but Unity was the only person in his circle who repeatedly brought it up. Despite Hitler's reluctance, she kept pushing for a German-British alliance, and even gave him lists of people in Britain she believed would support or oppose such a plan. In the summer of 1939, with tensions in Europe reaching a breaking point, Hitler told Unity and her sister Diana that war with Britain was now unavoidable, and advised them to leave Germany. Diana returned home, but Unity stayed. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. On the 3rd of September 1939, the very day Britain declared war on Germany, Unity visited Adolf Wagner, the Nazi Gauleiter, or regional Nazi party leader of Munich, to ask whether she would be arrested as an enemy alien. After he assured her that she would not, she walked alone into Munich's English garden. There, using a pearl-handled pistol Hitler had once given her, Unity Mitford tried to kill herself. Despite suffering a severe head injury, Unity Mitford survived the suicide attempt. Hitler paid for her treatment in a Munich hospital, where he reportedly visited her frequently. In December 1939, she was transferred to a hospital in Bern in Switzerland. There, her sister Deborah and their mother found her in a shocking state, emaciated with matted hair and barely able to speak. The bullet remained lodged in her brain, deemed too dangerous to remove. In January 1940, Unity, Hitler's British girl, was brought back to England in an ambulance coach attached to a train. Each movement caused her immense pain. When she arrived, the press rushed to cover her return, and her remark, "I'm glad to be in England, even if I'm not on your side," sparked outrage and calls for her internment. However, due to her father's intervention, the Home Secretary allowed her to live quietly at the family home in Swinbrook in Oxfordshire. She slowly learned to walk again, but her condition never fully improved. Unity suffered incontinence, frequent mood swings, and difficulty concentrating. Her mental age was often compared to that of a 10-year-old child. She said she wanted to have children and named the eldest Adolf. Over time, rumors began to circulate that Unity had secretly given birth to Hitler's child in a private maternity hospital in Oxford. If true, it would mean that Hitler's child is quite possibly still alive and living somewhere in England. Unity Mitford was 33 years old when she died on the 28th of May, 1948, in Oban in Scotland from pneumococcal meningitis, caused by swelling around the bullet that remained stuck in her brain.
Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.